So my name is Sabine Charles, and today I'm going to share with you the secret to studying. So before we deep dive into this whole presentation, let me introduce myself properly. I'm the CEO and president of Tapa Institute. And the reason why I started this business is because I was once in your shoes. I was struggling between managing a family, advancing in my career, resulting in inability to really pass certification exams because I was so tapped. After months and months, and I had a job which was offered to me, and they said, you need to be certified for you to maintain it. We're giving you 1 year to pass this certification. And if you don't pass, I'm so sorry, Sabine, we'll have to let you go. So after months of researching, and actually I took the exam and I failed, and the anxiety and stress caused me to continue to fail the exam. And doing research, going through stress management techniques, I created a methodology that I share with my clients. And at Tapa, we provide professionals with core career advancement techniques to earn certifications. And so today, I'm going to talk about some of those techniques. There are three main things I'm going to convey to you during this presentation. Improving your study mindset. Think about that. Your mindset is the first thing that we need to fix, or actually not fix, but kind of reassess. Understanding the study materials available and learning techniques. First, a positive mindset helps us reduce stress and improve the ability to focus. In other words, a cluttered mind is an unfocused mind. Second, many certification exams today attempt to reflect industry changes, resulting in new materials to master. Understanding the format changes will ease the anxiety during test day, and knowing which materials are aligned with these changes is quite critical for success. So a lot of people say, I don't have a lot of money, I want to buy the cheapest thing out there. Well, cheap is not always the best. You have to find some materials and quality materials that will help you pass, because you could just invest a little bit of money and then you end up causing you to take the exam several times, which at the long run will cost you more money. The last thing I like to talk about, well, this you'll learn about, is having a customized study plan. And a customized study plan, I like to say, and I said this to my client recently, is the GPS. It sets enough time to review, retain the information you need to pass your certification. And we'll discuss later in this presentation what this study plan should entail. So with that in mind, let's continue on. How well do you really know yourself? Do you understand your strengths and weaknesses in the way you learn? Do you know how to maximize your strengths and hedge your weaknesses? These questions are important on a personal level, as well as a level in which you're trying to prepare for an examination. Knowing the time that your mind is most awake will give you that extra edge when you sit for your certification exam. So I would recommend that you begin to study when you are at your best. So if you are a morning person, then guess what? Study during the morning. And if you're a night person, then study at night. And schedule the exam if you can during the time that you are most awake. So then that way you maximize your productivity, you're at your best at exam day. So knowing if you are a morning or night person is very important. So think about that. A lot of studies have been found that morning people, I'm sorry for the night people, morning people are more self-directed and goal-oriented. Also, there is an article in Sleep Medicine that shows that night owls can reset their internal clock to become morning people. So guess what, night people? You could also be a morning person, and then you could actually be part of the larger group. But at the end of the day, you know what? As we're going through this, I want you to really think about it. If you're a night person, guess what? Study and take the exam during those times, because that's when you're most awake and you could respond to questions that much more quickly and easily. Now, some of you may know this, some of you may not. If you go on my LinkedIn, you'll notice that I have a background in education. Also, I've been in corporate America. I was in the big four accounting firms. I worked multinational bank in the past. And also, I am a meditator. I love meditating. And also, I am a hypnotist, a certified hypnotist. And in my trainings, I have realized that visualization is the key to keeping you focused, a person focused. And people often use visualization as a form of meditation, hypnosis, or prayer. So I would like to tell you guys that every day, perhaps on a regular basis, just sitting back and just closing your eyes and then just taking deep breaths and visualizing whatever you want to do. So for example, if it's buying a house or passing a certification exam, so you sit there quietly, you take an inhale and exhale, and you visualize yourself at the test center and taking the exam and just really knowing every answer, going in there and passing that exam. That's the mindset that I was talking about. And even during the examination, I want you, every time you finish a testlet or a section of the exam, you need to take that inhale and really ground yourself, because you're going to be somewhat nervous. Even if we're doing all of this preparation, you may be a little nervous. So really grounding yourself in between every testlet or every time you finish a section will be quite helpful. With all of this positive energy, we are going to have to reward ourselves. So after every milestone, you should figure out some way to say, thank you, self. By actively rewarding yourself, you maintain motivated and wanting more. So think about it. When you want to do something, you do more of it. If you don't like it, you do less of it. So guess what? A lot of you say that you enjoy studying. Maintaining that enjoyment is creating these milestones and giving back to yourself to maximize that study period. And especially when you're studying something quite difficult, it helps you really think about, well, if I go through these 2 chapters, then I am going to have a cafe latte or whatever thing that makes you happy. So that's what I mean by milestones. And then after the exam and you pass, then you could buy yourself a Lamborghini, whatever you like, so that's the point, is that coming up with milestones that are realistic are very, very helpful to continue to help you study. When you give yourself treats and rewards, you feel energized, cared for, right? Exactly. And that boosts your self-commitment. So you know what I used to do? I used to go out and have a walk. After I finished doing something, I just went out to just, breathe some fresh air. Choosing the right study material. Many people ask me, which study material works best? To be honest, it depends on the individual and the learning style. Each study material has its pros and cons. And the best way to figure out which study material is best for you is that what I suggest is for you to go online and Google top 10 study materials for CISA. I mean, these are some of the things people say they were looking into, or top 10 materials for the CPA in the industry, and systematically review them until you find something that resonates with you. Some companies actually give you the material for free. I have a lot of clients from the Big Four who the Big Four end up giving them one vendor versus another so that they could study. Again, at the end of the day, if you're buying it, it's like buying a dress, a car. You have to find the car that resonates, that, you sit behind the wheel and you're like, yes, this is my car. Or you buy a jacket and you're like, oh, this jacket fits so perfectly. That's the same thing with study materials. Just really figuring out what resonates, it's critical, because then it kind of feeds back to what we were talking about, mindset. If you enjoy it, you will continue with it. If you hate the material and it's the best material out there and you're falling asleep every time you watch it, then it's not going to be helpful at all. Now let's talk about some tips, some Tapa tips, I like to call them. The first thing, you must create that customized study plan. For every one of my clients, I determine how many hours they need to study, coupled with their daily activities, and I create these unique study plans for my clients. With that said, managing your time is so, so important. This is why I say that GPS, the customized study plan, is important. Before entering the exam room, you should also allocate how long you're going to spend on every module, every section of the exam. So you're planning before you go to that study hall or your laptop, you create that study plan, really figuring out your life. Guess what? You need to relax. You cannot study 7 days a week. I do not recommend people to study 7 days a week because your brain needs time to relax. 1 to 2 days of relaxation you need to recharge your batteries. Once you commit to that schedule, that plan that's unique to you, then in the exam room, you really need to begin to figure out the allotment of time needed to complete the exam. You don't want to have all that energy and you're like, I studied every single thing, I'm ready. And then you go to the exam and you're not paced. And that time management is before the examination and during. So areas to focus. If you're studying for the first time or retaking an exam, you should focus on your challenging areas and reinforce the areas you need to learn. This could be done in many ways. You could watch the videos, you could read the study materials, join a study group. There are a lot of them online on the Facebook study groups. You can hire a professional to help you out. The goal is to understand the core material. And doing that, it depends on you. Everyone absorbs information differently. So some people may enjoy watching the videos or the lectures, and others prefer reading. Understanding yourself, understanding the mindset, understanding how you absorb information is critical for that absorption to really penetrate. Not only, I call it the penetration of your DNA, just really making sure that there's proper recall and retention of that information for that examination. During the last 2 weeks before the exam, you should simulate the exam. A lot of my clients now, because of COVID, we have to wear masks. So that last 2 weeks of studying or a week before your exam, wear the mask. Simulate being in a cold room if you know it's going to be in a cold room and with your mask on. And then you should review the areas that are identified as weak for you. And again, follow a structured approach. Sleeping is important. I know a lot of people like, I'm just going to stay up all night. I'm going to cram, blah, 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 blah. Think about it. How many times have you, forget about really studying, you stay up all night and then the next day you still feel so groggy. That's how your brain will be during exam day. If you cram and you don't give your brain a respite, then you feel groggy. So it's important that you have 8 hours of sleep, you eat right, and you do your visualization that we talked about earlier. So that, again, that gives you that upper hand on that exam day. It has to be achievable, quantifiable, real, tangible, just to kind of, it has to be real. And if I do ABC, then I'm going to reward myself. And that is what's the challenge. Because sometimes people say, I want to be famous. Like, what does that mean? You have to really come up with a clear definition of what that is. And achievable, really setting up steps of areas that you want to improve so you could get it. And that's with everything. A lot of my clients, after tutoring with them, they sometimes say, I've used some of these techniques to get promoted in my job, because what I convey to all of you, to my clients, and hopefully to people in the audience today, is that really setting goals and achieving them and coming up with very small milestones is the way to be successful. And at times we need help, and it's okay to ask for help. And asking for help, and again, those support functions and areas are so critical as well. And if you don't have the structure, like the people in your household to hold your hand or be that encourager or study buddy, then you sometimes have to go outside to look for that. Tapa Institute believes that there are 3 key aspects of effective studying. It's really having a positive mindset and understanding and setting these type of goals. Number 2 is getting the critical study materials that reflect the examination and that resonates with you. And the last thing is constructing a realistic, obtainable study plan. Many programs right now in the market have an automatic study plan. Like they tell you, I want to take the exam this date, and they tell you have to read 14 chapters in 1 week. That's not realistic. They just put the times based on when you want to take the exam. Realistically, your life changes day to day, from day to day. One day you may have to take care of your grandparents or your parents and take them to the hospital. The next day you're free. Our study plans are that level of granularity. We go down to that detail. And you have to understand your time management needs so that you can really focus on the key concepts and the areas that you need to get tested. At Tapa, our motto is to be an external observer of yourself for inner growth. It's critical for us to reflect and evaluate ourselves and understand our strengths and weaknesses. That way, we could figure out what we need to do to get to point B. I would like to thank everyone for their time. Please take a moment and follow me on my social media platforms. I do a lot of giveaways. So I give away free tutoring sessions. I give away bags and teas and cups and mugs and all sorts of things.